look how packed this infield is with campers and people. It's the Jack Links 500 at Talladega on Fox.
Drivers, start your engines!
How about that packed house as the drone drops down to ride toward the start-finish line with 39 NASCAR Cup cars. Green flag at Talladega.
These guys have not had one lap of practice. Be mindful of that. First time they've heard their spotters in their ear is right now.
Well, they have a lot of responsibility right now, and that's, you know, get yourself to track position. The guys in the front, you're going to see exactly what you saw right there. That block right up into that outside line. You're going to see the manufacturers try to get themselves together and start implementing the strategy that they've all worked on for the whole week.
Well, I think that's what you're seeing right here at the front. Where you're going to go, you're going to get single file. But those guys riding in the back, talking about Chase Elliott and company, clear back there in 30th. They're going to try to make some moves early, get this three wide going on, and make some headway.
Cole Custer on the outside leading that group. Now gets a little help as Josh Berry jumps outside in the Wood Brothers 21, but it is 25-year-old Zane Smith who yesterday won his first career pole, and he leads the first lap at Talladega.
That as you get these cars that are separated in this group that is trying to pull up, you want to kind of fan out a little bit to give that fourth place car that's behind a chance to catch up.
So the group that stopped were 6 of the Toyotas and half of the Chevrolets. We're told these are the trouble. One car wildly spinning up toward the top of the wall as two more go through the infield, including Keselowski and Blaney are involved in a miscue trying to get to pit road. And caution is out for the first time today. Let's see this unfold as they come off turn number 4 and head for pit road.
You see how much faster Keselowski and Busch were catching those 3 cars in front of them. Just run out of room, tried to move down. You see Blaney caught the front end of Keselowski, pretty much ripping the whole front end of his car off. Busch doesn't have a ton of damage, but they stack up quick. That's 2 lanes of traffic and people staying out. You see Zane Smith pull up, and look how much faster they run those guys down. Busch gets in the back of Keselowski, turns him up the track. Damage on that Bowman car as well.
Ryan Preece, 2 Fords up front. Christopher Bell up on the outside of the front row with Buescher as we go back to green. 9 laps to go in stage 1.
You're going to see him going at it now.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. These guys know that they want to gather as many points as possible in this stage in case something happens in the next stage or at the end of the race.
Whoa! Something
there
happened, all right.
Bell hard into the wall.
That is a huge hit. That was right there at the front. He had Hamlin, his teammate, pushing hard on the outside on the exit of turn 2. Let's see what happens here.
Let's have a look.
Right there on the outside, you can see him getting pushed by the 11. On the exit of turn 2, comes a little bit of a tap, kind of dancing across the back bumper, Kevin. He gets loose, gets into Buescher on the bottom.
Well, one thing with those Toyotas, the Toyotas are hard to push. I wrecked Tyler Reddick that very same way that Denny Hamlin just you know, turned Christopher Bell right there off the front of his front bumper. And there's a little crown on the front of those front and rear bumpers of those Toyotas, and they're much harder to push than the Fords are. And
see how that wall comes out right there? He hit that thing almost head on. That is a huge hit.
And it happens before you even know what happened. From Denny Hamlin's standpoint, you think you're just doing the right thing, and that car will just take off like Christopher Bell's did right there if something is just misaligned just a little bit.
Let's watch from the Celsius cam on board Ryan Preece, who was right behind them.
You see it start dancing across the back bumper.
Yeah, it's that side-to-side movement, and with that crown on the front and back bumper, when it went right, and when it came back to the left across the front bumper of Denny Hamlin with that little bit of bow on the back bumper, that's when it turns those cars sideways, when they start moving up and down like that.
And it just cleaned off the 17 from the inside of the front row.
Look at the radiator fly out of that car.
Byron Elliott on the high side. 1 to go to the end of stage 1.
Bubba's out quite a bit. Here's a big block. He missed it. Whoa, Kevin, that was close.
Yeah, we saw the 45 car there of Tyler Reddick getting to the back of the 51 and almost had the same wreck that we had off of turn 2 with Christopher Bell.
That was as close to the big ones as it gets.
Bubba Wallace got too far out in front of Cody Ware and lost the energy.
Well, he missed that block on the outside was the biggest one.
And you see that bottom lane making up a lot of ground right there. Bubba Wallace getting a push from Cody Ware.
Kyle Larson up top, who has never won at Talladega, trying to get the stage win here.
Well, you know he's tired of hearing that stat and wants to end that today.
He missed it again. He got to be careful of them blocks. It was too late again. That's 2 in a row.
Larson, Stenhouse from the middle. Larson coming down, trying to hold them all off and make that car 3 lanes wide. Kyle Larson, William Byron. 1-2 at the end of stage 1. Lap stage 2. Who's going to get the stage win, the playoff point, and the 10 championship points?
Well, this energy is going to be 2-3 cars back in those lines. Who can get that best energy, and then who's going to pull out? Who wants to take the chance first?
Ford and Chevy
with a big run on the outside.
Ford and Chevy on the bottom, Toyota and Ford in the middle row. The top row not a factor right now.
Yeah, and a lot of times what will happen right here, they'll wait until they get about halfway to pit road and the exit of turn 4 before somebody starts to make a move.
Bubba Wallace moved down to the bottom, blocking the bottom lane. Momentum will come on the outside. Here comes Cindric.
Top lane trying to find some energy. Logano goes up to pick up Cindric.
Cindric had to lift.
Yes. And Logano drops all the way to the bottom. Here they come to the line. Bubba Wallace will get the stage win over Logano and Larson, who came back from a penalty to finish 3rd. Had one incident here on pit road.
Sure did. Carson Hocevar. And one thing I want to point out is how far out of the box he pits as he's coming around Cindric here. Watch his tire carrier. Josh Berry's coming in the 21 car, but look how far out on pit road he is. Hits him, that tire right into his hip. Man, that's got to hurt. But I put that on. You see this line right here where Hocevar's supposed to be? That right rear was way out. He was outside of his box too far. A lot of times you want to complete, like this line right here is the guide for the drivers, right? The 21 car, he knows to come in and not be on the inside of that line, but this car is way out too far.
That keeps the Chevrolets at bay. They're still too wide.
Watch
but
William
for
Byron.
how long as they come to the tri-oval and face the white flag?
Yeah, and you see Kyle Larson down there on the bottom of the racetrack doing everything that he can do to get a side draft off that 60 car Ryan Preece to pull him back.
You want to go now. If that caution comes out, the race is over. Zane Smith spit out. Ty Dillon is out. Here comes Hocevar.
And that'll affect the whole row up on the top.
Off turn 2 for the final time. Still 2 Fords in front of 2 Chevys. In front of a Chevy and a Ford 2 rows back. There's the bump from Larson, trying to get that number 2 out of the way so he can make a move. Who's going to come to the outside?
It's the gaps. The energy's going to come from the gaps. Watch him. See that 5 car slow down? He's trying to create a gap to get a run on him.
And there's those lap cars up in the front. That should help that bottom lane get a little bit of draft coming to the finish line.
Into the trial, the final time, jostling 3 wide behind the first 2 rows. Cindric, Preece at the line. Who?
Cindric. I like Cindric, and it's because of them lap cars in front of him. He had the upper hand with the cars in front. That was perfect timing for him.
Just a little bit of draft helped that bottom lane move forward.
Here it is, the run to the line behind those lap cars, and it is Austin Cindric beating Ryan Preece. Looking at Roger Penske and Walt Zarnicki, they were up here on the balcony cheering their driver on. And here's a look at it.
Yeah, and you see these cars nose to tail down the back straightaway. But the thing that's going to happen, and we could start to see this develop as we get off of turn 4. They were still pretty much a dead heat as they exited turn 4. They caught those lap cars 2 seconds a lap of Kyle Busch and Josh Berry, and that just allowed that bottom lane to get that just a little bit of a sniff of a draft and pull them forward to get that advantage on Austin Cindric's car. See those lap cars?
There they are.
Yeah.
Boy, he about run out of room. You hurry up, finish line. I love this place. Love everything about it.
Austin Cindric, Menards, Team Penske, and Ford finally get a race on a drafting track to win for the first time this season.
Well, they've had the fastest cars. They've had the best plan. They've had the best teamwork, but they've had the fastest cars. And today, finally capitalize on those fast cars.